All right, joining me now is Heritage Foundation Economic Fellow Alan Mendenhall, alongside former White House Council of Economic Advisors Chairman and economist Tomas Philipson. Gentlemen, always great to see you. Thank you so much for coming on the show today. So, Tomas, President Trump took to Truth Social yesterday, and he had some good news to announce about Walmart. He wrote this. He said, "Great news. I have just been informed that one of the biggest, best, and smartest retailers in America, Walmart, will be lowering prices by a lot at my administration's request to celebrate our great country's 250th birthday." So in particular, I guess Walmart's going to be dropping the price for a pound of ground beef by almost 15%, among many other products. So, Tomas, a lot of questions here. How are they able to absorb this so quickly, and how quickly can we see this take effect?
Competitive market out there, so Walmart does certainly not have massive margins to go on. But I mean, this is a departure from the first Trump administration, where you have the government weighing in on price setting with price controls and also taking ownership shares in companies. I'm not a big fan of that, essentially. And this is another example of supply and demand not setting prices in markets, which is what most people who believe in free markets want to happen, as opposed to through government intervention.
Yeah, and Alan, the Japanese auto giant Toyota, they announced that they are expanding its U.S. production by building a $3.6 billion auto plant in San Antonio, Texas, which will create about 200,000 jobs when that facility opens. I think it's projected to open around 2030. And President Trump touted this as a big deal, and his tariffs are at work. So I want to ask you about this, your thoughts on this, and really how it's expected to really be a big boon to the job market, especially there in Texas.
Yeah, I mean, I think the real story here is the red state economies versus the blue state economies. And we have Toyota expanding operations in Texas. We've got companies moving to Texas: Tesla, Oracle, Exxon, Hewlett Packard, Charles Schwab. I mean, the list goes on. And that's because red states like Texas are lowering taxes and making for faster permitting to attract business. They've got a better business-friendly climate, reducing regulations, creating jobs. And so the story here really, I think, is the rise of the red state economies versus the demise of the blue state economies.
Yeah, I guess I also want to go back to this. I mean, we see the stock market really booming right now. The Dow, as we mentioned, crossed 53,000 for the first time. That is another record high for Wall Street. So, Tomas, what is causing this? How significant is this milestone? And what does it tell you about investor confidence in the Trump economy?
Well, I mean, it's forward-looking markets. Typically, they look forward to earnings in the future. And when the company earn a lot of money, that means they're hiring a lot of people, et cetera. This is very, very good news on how the markets perceive the future, particularly because the small companies are now outgrowing some of the big, fabulous, large tech companies that we have. So the Russell 2000 has actually outperformed the big guys, which is very, very encouraging. So it's a very broad increase in the market. This is not just a few large, gigantic tech companies. And that is very encouraging for at least how investors see future economic growth, future hiring, et cetera.
Yeah, absolutely. Really quickly, there's a lot we want to get to. We're ping-ponging all over the place. But speaking of investment, Alan, I want to talk to you about the big investment in our children, the Trump accounts. How do you see this?
Yeah, well, one thing that's great about this is the emphasis on financial literacy and long-term investment. I mean, if you look at active fund managers, they fail to beat the S&P 500 in a typical year at about 80%. And if you look at that number over 10 to 15 years, it rises to like 80 to 90%. So we know that just passive management is the better way to go. The S&P 500 has averaged about 10% annually over the long run. So $10,000 at 10% for 30 years is roughly $174,000. And if you compare that to just 7%, the same investment grows to just $76,000. So a few percentage points can make an enormous difference over decades. And it's great to see these, young people having the opportunity to invest. And I would emphasize that this is not a government handout. Most of these investments are, made by the families, by parents, or by, matches by employers. And, there's that seed money, that $1,000 seed money that goes in there. But again, most of the investments are being done privately.
And Tomas, really quickly, almost out of time, but I want to ask you to weigh in on this because I know other presidents were presented with this as well, but President Trump was the only one to do it.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's two aspects of this account which is useful. One is that people get a feel for our capital markets work, essentially, through the Trump accounts. The worrisome thing for me is not Trump sort of steering this program. It's when the Democrats come in and make this sort of part of a living wage program. They're going to up the amount that each kid gets to the level where the government essentially supports more individuals. And that, I think, is a little worrisome. So it's not clear how big entitlement is going to be, but every big entitlement program we have had in the past started small and then grew enormous.
All right. Well, Tomas, Alan, gentlemen, great to be with you and get your insights. Really appreciate it. Thank you.